My name is Younael Eskinder. I am the firstborn of two immigrants that, traveled over to America, first generation. A little bit about me is I was born and raised in Alexandria, Virginia, pretty much my whole life. Grew up, went to school out here, got to really get engulfed in the community. I'm 10 minutes from DC, 20
Mhm.
minutes from Maryland, so I'm pretty much right there in the community in a sense. One thing about growing up here was it was a melting pot. So at a
Mhm.
young age, I was exposed to different cultures, different backgrounds, and I didn't even realize that most of the world in America or America in general wasn't built like that. It's not really, it's not really seen as a whole bunch of different backgrounds. Probably not now more so, but when I was
Mhm.
younger, it was just really I could see a Hispanic family, I could see a Black family, Afghani, Somali, like my own people, Ethiopian,
Yeah.
Eritreans,
Yeah.
like growing up, I was exposed to all of it, and I think it really made a big impact on the person who I am today.
Mhm.
And shout out to my family, obviously, but
Yeah.
they let me get exposed to that and get to
Yeah.
see kind of life isn't just black and white. Like you're not just gonna see one type of person in this world. You'll see a whole bunch, and you got to know how
Yeah.
to interact and be, common decency, be respectful, be understanding, hardworking. These are all values that my parents, my mom specifically, kind of instilled in us in a sense.
Mhm.
Pops was routine, strict, like disciplined,
Yeah. Yeah.
but for the most part, he was really flexible as as he got older in a
Right.
sense. So we kind of we I think the biggest thing is like when you're growing up in that type of background,
Yeah.
obviously I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but from my personal experience, it's the best of both worlds. It's like authoritative type of
Mhm.
parenting in a sense. They're going to
Yeah.
make sure you understand, we made sacrifices to come here for
Yeah.
you to have any opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you're not gonna be a doctor or a
Yeah.
lawyer,
Yeah.
be something, be successful, like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're working for that. So
Yeah.
those are
No,
all
that's
big things.
that's really cool, man. And shout out to the DMV, right? I think the DMV is one of the best places to raise a family because I think the DMV does a really good job, especially in the outer suburbs, of a true melting pot, right? Where everyone, especially in the public schools, like everyone is represented, right? So you see like the full diversity of the world, in the DMV. You know what I mean? I think they get it close to right in this area. So, and that's what I think you're a reflection of. So when you speak, and why I want to have this conversation with you is because I feel like you could hear the richness in your experiences, right? The richness in just the different cultures and the vast understanding that you have of people and backgrounds and how comfortable you are in your own skin. And I think this area actually lends itself perfectly to that type of sort of sound upbringing, right? Especially if your parents are exposing you to a lot that's available here. So I love that. So my question for you is, man, what were you obsessed with as a kid? You know what I mean? What was that thing that if you didn't have to sleep, you just do that all day, every day?
Oh man, that's a great question actually.
Yeah,
I feel like growing up, if you're close with me, know me growing up, I was a basketball fanatic. You
yeah,
uh, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to the league. I mean, my friends will laugh about this now when they see this.
right. Yeah,
You got to have that belief in yourself. So
for sure.
growing up, it was 5 a.m., 6 a.m. out in that concrete court, in that neighborhood
Yeah,
court with my
yeah,
older cousin, no matter what the weather was, we were out
yeah,
there. And my close friends too, growing up, we were just outside.
yeah.
We kind of grew up in that last generation of like we had technology, but we weren't like it was still fresh to us. So we were still outside. We were still,
Right.
just rubbing dirt on the wounds and just
Yeah,
continuing to play soda a day,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So my obsession, I wouldn't say, yeah, it was an obsession. My obsession
yeah.
with basketball,
It was basketball.
very-
Yeah, so talk about some of the like some of the lessons that you learned from basketball, some of the experiences that you had that were sort of impactful that you still carry with you today.
so it's actually going to tie back into the morals that my family kind of instilled in us. It's like
Hmm.
you're not gonna if you want to be successful, you're obviously gonna have to work hard, stay disciplined, but
Hmm.
also you're gonna have to understand that you have to make sacrifices in a sense for the stuff that you want. Just how like my parents sacrificed their way of life to come here to give us a better
Hmm.
opportunity.
Hmm.
I realized that my dad's gonna wake up at 4 a.m. to go to work to make sure we
Hmm.
can eat. Same thing with my mom, 4:30,
Hmm.
5 a.m. Wake up so she can go to work to get a check.
Hmm.
That those early lessons kind of were in like they were ingrained in me at a young age
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
young working hard isn't it's not foreign to me. It's
Hmm.
actually something I feel like if you just point me in a direction, I can go.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to it just off the fact that it's second nature in a sense. You know, I think a lot of
Hmm.
people nowadays are scared of being uncomfortable or hard work just because it
Hmm.
comes off as just it's not fun.
Right.
Everybody wants the instant success. And
Hmm.
with sports, I realized that instant success isn't gonna happen.
Hmm.
The best feeling in the world is knowing that you put the hours in and now you're starting to see the progression. You're starting to get better. And for any child at a young age, you want them to go through that early so they can kind of
Hmm.
see they can take those skills and put them in any other aspects of their life,
Right.
which for me, it kind of happened later on after basketball ended.
Hmm.
I was in a little bit of a depressive state. I
Yeah.
said, "Oh man, what am I gonna do now that the league is an option?" You know,
Yeah.
it was really as crazy as that sounds. It was really what was going through my mind. Like first,
Right.
it was like if I can't go to college to play basketball, can't get my education paid for, am I
Mm.
really going to be able to afford it? Instead of just
Yeah.
really understanding, no, you just got to look at the plans, you got to look at the schematics, break it
Hmm.
down goal by goal. There's so many ways to get that degree, or there's so many ways to
Hmm.
get viable skills you can use in this world. And I
Hmm.
believe sports, along with my background, kind of taught me that. So,
Yeah.
and it teaches you how to understand failure in a sense. You know, you're not always going to win in life. Not everything's
Right.
going to be picture perfect. Just how
Right.
like, when your parent when I didn't realize this till later on, probably like 16, 17, but there can be people always automatically assume just because someone left their life back home that they didn't
Hmm.
have a good life. Like I know I have uncles that were mechanics back in Ethiopia, but
Hmm.
just because of the political situations over there, they wanted to make sure they have their children have more of an opportunity to kind of do whatever they wanted in terms of like being a mechanic, being a
Hmm.
doctor, a lawyer, anything of that sense. They don't have to
Hmm.
understandably be under that guise, but they can come to this world and kind of make a whole other opportunity. And I say worlds because it really is a different world. Like you have to understand your parents are coming from a whole other culture to move here and sacrifice all of that. It's a big step. Like
Hmm.
put yourself in their shoes. You go to let's say you go to China to go start a family, you're going to be under a whole new guise of rules. You're going to be under a whole new set of
Right.
regulations. So
Absolutely.
you better be prepared for it. You better know you're ready for that. So
Right.
I
Right.
always,
Right.
give your props up to those that sacrifice, give them their
Yeah.
flowers, honestly, because I don't think a lot of people, I mean, people in our like people my age, obviously now are understanding, no, I'm able to smile like this. I'm able to afford things I can afford in this life because
Hmm.
of them. So
Yeah.
now more people are giving them their flowers, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a dope response, man. And I really appreciate the the depth of just sort of humility that you're showing and understanding, you know what I mean, of what your parents sacrificed. So my question is kind of teeters on that a little bit, right? So with your understanding of what your parents have done, right? So how do you balance sort of putting additional pressure on yourself to sort of, make sure that um, kind of live up to the expectations that you think your parents have for you versus sort of just being true to who you are? Like, how do you balance that world?
It was hard growing up, honestly. It kind of
Yeah,
felt like I felt like I was stuck in between worlds in a sense because I grew up out here, first generation. So, like I said, my mentality was different. Like
yeah,
I didn't necessarily feel, again, if it wasn't the league, it wasn't part of the plan. So
right, right,
I'm not gonna lie, there was definitely there was times where me and my parents really did bump heads, but
yeah,
instead of just like cast me out in a sense and kind of neglect it, they nurtured it in a sense and
yeah,
kind of showed me that there's other avenues to be successful. And once I perceived
hmm,
that, as I got older, it made it easier. And there were so many bumps and hills that showed me that like it's cool, it's understandable. Like you're gonna have to
hmm,
go through these moments in order to get to where you want to go. My biggest thing though was kind of stepping out of my own comfort zone and saying like
hmm,
it's okay, like I want to be successful, but I want to be why is the reason. Like I said, I want to put my mom in the house, make sure
hmm,
pops is good.
yeah,
My brothers can have anything they want in this world. If I really
hmm,
want that, if that's truly the sense, then I'm gonna have to make sure I hear all parties. And now
hmm,
more people feel like if I do this, I'm not living true to myself. I'm not living
Hmm.
to my honor. At the end of the day, your parents just want to make sure you're healthy, you're loved, and you're putting, I mean, in my case, putting God first. So
Yeah.
I hope everybody is, but
Yeah.
it's these good things are gonna matriculate and show in different ways. So
Right.
you can't you can't per se just be like, oh, just because they want me to doctor, I can't do it, this, that, and the third. Find what
Yeah.
you're passionate about. Find what you want to do. But at the end of the day, still make sure you give honor to your parents. Still, show glory, like show love to them because you only get one set of them. So you
Yeah.
definitely make sure you're doing your best to at least let them know you're working hard. Now, whether school isn't for everybody, that might not be the pathway, but at the end of the day, show them the effort that you're still trying to build something for you, your future family,
Yeah.
and them, obviously your parents. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important what you're saying. From the lessons that you've learned in sports, right? As you're going through this process of um searching or seeking your calling, right? And from the framework of sports, I think you understand that there is a process and you're trusting that process, right? Like how do you sort of like put that plan in place, right? Like you have an idea of sort of the path that you're pursuing, right? You have this background in sports where you understand that, listen, everything takes work and you make progress, incrementally, but as long as you keep your head down and you keep working, you trust the process. Like, how do you marry those two sort of philosophies also with, the thing that you're pursuing?
It goes back to your mentality. I'm a
Hmm.
big fan of all those motivational speakers, big fan of
Hmm.
Kobe, big fan of, just those that understand that it's not just like I go back to it's not just black and white. Your
Hmm.
mentality has something to do with your mentality has a big thing to do with it. But also you gotta understand that consistency, it's every like you said, like it's chipping one block at a time, but understanding that it's not the end of the world in this life if that one thing doesn't come true. Like I understand, we all want success in this life, but success comes
Hmm.
in different forms. Some people never realized they wanted to be parents their whole lives. They thought
Hmm.
I could work 9 to 5s and just travel everywhere. If that makes you happy, that's great.
Right,
But some people really find true love and true success in being a mother or being a father in a sense. So it's just really listening to your mind in a sense, but allowing yourself to grow. Like, don't be afraid of growth. A lot of
right.
people, they don't want to take that one step forward just because they don't know the outcome. Like, I'm a firm believer. I've tried it. I think I've tried it all, every aspect to kind of get to where I need to, where I see myself.
Hmm.
And at times it does get discouraging. You never want to see failure in front of you in a sense, and by in front of you, I mean in the mirror when you're looking at
Right.
yourself. But you just gotta understand, even the most successful people in life, they tumble, they fall, they fail all the time. It's just a part
Yeah.
of the process. And when you truly internalize that and accept that, there's nothing in this world you can't do. You just gotta take that first step.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. So tell me, pivoting away from your dream, your hoop dream, right, which was the ultimate dream, that was your main focus, right? Like once you sort of reconcile that, you had to pivot away from that. Like, what was the process that you went through in terms of researching and exploring like other career options that you feel would have been a good fit for you? Like, how did you go about that?
I kind of went about it in just my surroundings in a sense. I feel like
Hmm.
I was like one of the last people to kind of hold on to the hoop dream.
Hmm.
So when I kind of put that down, it was a real conversation I had with my family. It was a conversation I had with my close friends, some older mentors in a sense, and
Hmm.
they kind of all just kind of put it in perspective to me is basically how we're talking right now. It's like there's different aspects. What do you like to do? What are you passionate about? I feel like going back to our earlier point, at a young age, like there's expectations on us about like, are
Hmm.
you gonna go to college? You're gonna
Hmm.
work a 9 to 5, have a family, this, that, and the third. And that expectation kind of weighs on you because you're like, do I really want that? Is that for
Hmm.
me? In a
Hmm.
sense. And people think they have to answer immediately. When in actuality, this life stuff is crazy. We're on this earth for 75 years on average.
Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technology can keep us going, but
Right. Right.
you're on this earth for a limited amount of time. Why are you stressing about one portion of your life in a sense? There's so much life to live. So
Right.
I think it's important to be self-aware and put that in
Yeah.
perspective for yourself.
Yeah.
So those are those are some things that kind of helped me segue and kind of get out my
Yeah.
rut when
Hmm.
I first started to kind of expand out. I got
Hmm.
into finances. A lot of my
Hmm.
friends, so my friends that were, you have different groups of friends kind of growing up.
Hmm.
So you got your athlete friends, and then you got your
Right.
friends that are working, and then you got everybody in between,
Right.
And the guys I grew up with in my neighborhood, we all come from a very similar background. So
Hmm.
everybody was hungry. Everybody was ready to work and kind of
Right.
get to being successful in any way and shape and form they know how. So
Hmm.
those that weren't the athletes,
Yeah.
man, they're now the guys that are getting paid. I'll put it like that. So
Right. Right. Right.
and they kind of like helped, they pointed me in the right direction. I got into
Hmm.
finances as soon as I put the shoes up. I got
Hmm.
an entry level banker job and
Hmm.
With JP Morgan Chase Bank,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I loved it because, like I said, it took the tools from sports and
Hmm.
just playing, not playing but competing, and put it in the workforce. And I seen it was
Hmm.
an easy transition.
Hmm.
It goes from you're very coachable to you have great energy in the workplace. You're very
Hmm.
motivated to work. You're not scared of trying new things. And then it goes back to you're putting up however many jump shots to now you're staying after later to make sure you get ahead on any accounts that need to be opened for last
Hmm.
minute clients, making a deposit, this, that, and the third again.
Hmm.
And it was an eye opener in a sense. I got to see what it was like to work in corporate America, commercial
Hmm.
banking, basically,
Right.
in
Right.
this instance. And it showed me that no, I want to be that guy in a suit one day, but I may want to do it in terms of entrepreneurship. I may want to do it for working for a Fortune 100, Fortune 500, whatever it may be. But I know I can do it now because I
Hmm.
stepped foot into one of the best, and
Yeah.
I've done all right for myself. So
Right. No, I think that's really cool. So as you're working in finance, you're working for JP Morgan Chase in commercial banking, you're making progress, right? You're exploring this new, I guess, industry,
yes, sir.
financial services, banking, commercial banking, and you're seeing success there, right? So
Mhm.
here's the thing. So professionally, like where are you getting mentorship from? Like, are you thinking, hey, I need to sort of talk to this person? Like, who are you able to talk to help mentor you as you're sort of traversing this new financial services landscape? Like, do you have a mentor? Are there people that you're comfortable talking to? Are there people who are sort of looking out for you? How did you navigate that?
In this specific instance, it was
Mm-hmm.
definitely my mother in a sense. She
Mm-hmm.
was, even though she was never in banking, she always
Yeah.
wanted me to understand that, like, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So you're
Mm-hmm.
going to need to understandably shift your mindset. How you're waking up early for sports, you're gonna have to wake up early and make sure you get yourself to work. You're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
to make sure you stay after work. Kind of just make sure you stand out as much as possible. Just how you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be picked by a scout for the
Mm-hmm.
extra work you did, you want to do that in
Right.
the workforce too. And it always goes back to you're not always gonna reap the benefits immediately, but
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna teach you that like whatever work you're willing to put down now, you can kind of take that and use that in any other aspects of your life. So
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I started to see the progression, I started to see the paychecks coming. I started to say, okay,
Right.
maybe, maybe waiting for that contract versus kind of getting substantially a decent amount of money right now isn't that
Right.
bad. Like I kind of could mess with this
Yeah.
and keep going. It really got me. It really widened my perspective
Mm-hmm.
on this type of situation.
Yeah. Now, I love that, man. And I think for you, family, community, and especially your peer group, right? Like I know you talked about your friends. I know you have a pretty solid peer group. Can you speak a little bit about how important that's been, right? To having, your peers who are sort of equally ambitious as you are. You know what I mean? Where you guys can hold each other accountable, motivate each other, push each other, but most importantly, support each other.
Yes, sir. Uh, when they see this documentary, people are gonna understand when I say this, but
Yeah.
coming from immigrant parents, they're always gonna tell you, be careful who you hang out with. I don't like that guy. Something
Yeah.
about him
Yeah.
doesn't scream right to me.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you're like, this is my guy. Like, what are you talking about? We
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
basketball. What could you possibly see that
Yeah.
doesn't? And at a young age, you're not gonna perceive it, but your parents, your parents are gonna be able to tell you like who your paths are going to align with just based off the morals, in a
Yeah.
sense. So, well, I think I think I was around probably around my high school graduation.
Uh-huh.
I started to realize that I'm not going to be seeing everybody I was seeing 24/7 because we
Hmm.
had to be in a
Hmm.
building together versus the people I really want to see and have the
Yeah.
same morals and values as me. And when
Yeah.
I realized that, it kind of it intensified it because I know I have my group. I know I have some trustworthy, really good people around me. And
Hmm.
everybody that's really not for you is gonna kind of just uh, they kind of just segue and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Not to speak bad on anybody, but those you do wrong in this life, bad things happen. You do right,
Right. Yeah.
it's only gonna point you in the right direction. So I know at first glance, when you hear that, you're like, no, bad things happen to good people all the time. I'm like, yeah, but necessarily, if you look at it like that, like maybe it's just a trial and tribulation that's going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
In this life, it's like things can be perceived as black and white. I know I've been harping on it, but it's
Yeah.
been a big thing in my life where it's kind of gotten me through some really bad times where I just look at it as like, maybe it's good that it didn't work out like that
Yeah.
because, there's something greater for you in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So nowadays, people kind of it discourages people. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say it never discouraged me, but
Right.
I'll still get up the next day and give it another shot because
Yeah.
we got we have very limited options in this world sometimes. So
Yeah.
you gotta keep going.
Well, that's all facts you're spouting, man. So let me say this to you, man. I'm gonna give you your flowers, man. I'm very proud of you and for number one, for who you are, but in the short time that I've known you, like I'm just seeing you sort of just, like get better every day. You know what I mean? And not that, you weren't great when I met you, but I can see the progression. You know what I mean? So I'm really proud of you. And in that vein, right, as you're finding your groove, you're gaining clarity, your confidence is growing, and you're kind of finding, things are starting to like shape up in a way that you're excited about, right? Even though you're being patient, but you're like, okay, I'm excited with the momentum that I'm building, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, how grounded do you feel in this moment, in this present moment? How grounded do you feel about the road ahead? And then also tie that into sort of just everything that you've been through in life, including being the son of immigrant parents, and how all those lessons you've learned have prepared you for this moment now where you've kind of like made a way for yourself and you're like, okay, I think I could see the path ahead. Because that's what I see when I talk to you. Like every time I talk to you, man, like I'm seeing like, this astronomical rise, this trajectory that you're on. So I want to hear from your perspective. I'm just sharing like what I see. But how do you see it and how do you feel about it?
First, let me say thank you for the flowers. Not many people give it to you, but I
Yeah.
appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
And for me, honestly, it's just not thinking I'm better than anybody else, not thinking I'm better than the next man up. It's
Hmm.
okay to be competitive. It's okay to want to compete with the next man, but never put someone down for trying anything. Because if you're not gonna do it, then what makes you think they can't do it? You
Hmm.
know, people have this. If I'm not gonna be on it, why would that person be able to be successful in it either?
Hmm.
So I think I learned that at a young age. You're you're blessed with your gifts.
Hmm.
Don't get mad because you don't have someone else's.
Hmm.
Uh, I played a sport where height was a very valuable thing. Not the tallest, but I know I
Right.
could work the hardest.
Right.
I know I'll be out there to compete, and we're gonna have a good game. So
Right.
why not get the best out of each other? Because if I'm working to get better every day, I want to see you get better every day. And that's just what it
Hmm.
is. Like if more people were on this earth just to see other people win, in a sense, like give someone like you just gave me my flowers.
Hmm.
Like if more people gave each other flowers, it would be it would be in a better sense, a calmer, a calmer trajectory in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times there's so much hate in this world, and hate can really deter a lot of people. It's not your
Yeah.
responsibility to make sure that person is the best version, but we're all on this earth together, so why not try to see someone win?
Yeah.
I know personally when I see my close friends win, it's a W for me in a sense. Like I
Hmm.
love seeing that because we came from the same background. But when I
Right.
see a random person of the same skin tone or the same background I don't even know win, I tell them all the time, God bless, and I hope everything you want in this life comes true.
Yeah.
It goes back to, parents treat everybody with respect, treat everybody the way you want to be treated.
Right.
Don't Like all these quotes, these are I want you to know these are all hours and hours of lectures that I've been
Yeah.
sat in my living room and
Yeah.
explained to over and over
Yeah.
again. I got probably like a like a dictionary of them that can come into play in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
All
goes back
times
to
of
your
day.
question, how it
Yeah.
correlates. Oh,
Yeah.
brother, it's crazy. I still got one right now. My pops from the age of I think the moment I hit puberty, from 12 to like 18. He's like, you got to be like me. You got to be like a risk averter. I
Yeah.
just be like, what? What are you talking about? What does that mean? So,
That's great insight, man. He's giving you game. Yeah.
I didn't
Avert
realize it at the
risk.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it comes from your
Yeah.
parents, you're thinking like, man, this is just
Yeah.
what is he talking about? But
Yeah.
nah,
That's
he
a that's a
it's a
bar. I'm
bar.
I'm
It's a
I'm gonna use
bar.
that. Yeah, man.
No,
That's a bar.
exactly.
You know?
And that's when I realized like, no, I choose wisdom. I got to go through the experience instead of
Yeah.
that. Like at a young age, you're kind of hard headed, so
Yeah.
you're not really listening to what they're really trying to tell you.
Yeah.
You're just hearing it how they're telling it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm taking the good and the bad. So now I know with
Yeah.
my child in the future, I'm
Yeah.
going to try to get the point across. He
Yeah.
might he might be hard-headed like me, but I'm gonna be patient and try to work it
Yeah.
through like this
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, once I saw it from my
Yeah.
point of view, oh man,
Yeah.
to-
You got it. It locked
yeah.
in. Yeah.
The thing is, I wanted a time machine because I would have been like, I
Yeah.
think I would have saved myself some hardships back then.
Yeah. Yeah. But now it's seared in there.
Oh yeah. Oh my
You know?
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So I
can't
think
make.
you heard, you just had to experience it and learn it your way.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
So now
sir.
you're like, okay, I got you. I'm a risk averter.
Yes. Sir. Oh yeah. Nah,
You know what I
I'm
mean?
definitely trying to,
Yeah.
it's okay to bet on yourself, but
Yeah.
in a safe way,
Right,
in a
right, 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 right. Exactly. Try to get the odds in your favor.
Yes, sir.
Which essentially is game theory, knowing, the rules of the game you're playing and making sure that you enter into a game that you can win, that you have a chance to win.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And so there's so many lessons in what your dad said, man, about being a risk averter. To tie that back to something you said earlier,
Hmm.
a lot of, your story, it's about family, it's about community. You know what I mean? When you talk about your friends and, just growing up in the DMV and sort of, the community that you were exposed to that helped to nurture you. And I think having that background is crucial, right? In any type of development that you're going to do, especially professionally, right? Like you have to have sort of a team, a community around you, right? So a good peer group, good coaches, good mentors, sponsors. These are all important elements for success. Because the last thing you want to do is to try to go out into the world by yourself and just take on the world by yourself. Like you need a team, you know what I mean? You need a community around you. So for you, what does that look like?
Good one. Obviously, family,
Hmm.
foremost. They've been there for me since day one, obviously, and they love me for my good times, my bad times, and the ugly times. They love me through
Hmm.
it all. So they're definitely like a big backbone for me. No matter
Hmm.
whether I'm mad, happy, or sad, I gotta wake up and make sure that my ultimate goal is to make sure everybody's good in this
Yeah.
household and make sure that they're taken care of in whatever aspect they're gonna need, whether they believe it or not. Like I'm still gonna make it happen because it's at the end of the day, it's from what's inside. It's from what my truest desires are.
Hmm.
So what they've supported me with, I hope to pay them back tenfold. And to my friends,
Hmm.
they've there've been a lot of character development. Now I know who is really there for you when you're at your worst times, and who's thinking about you when you're in your grind mode and when you're really locked into what you got to get going. Those people that reach out to you and still check up on you and still make sure you're good. Those are real ones. I try to make sure I stay in contact with them, build and grow in our relationships because you never know. Like just as well as they could be successful, you could be successful. Like those people that are with you in those growing blocks are the people you want
Hmm.
to be around when you make it to where you're going to get to. I've noticed that about people that are the most successful, they keep their close-knit friend group, like that,
Hmm.
and they don't try to switch it up too much. It's different than just networking and meeting new people. Like those people that are
Hmm.
really in my close circle really know
Right.
me. They know I love to laugh. They know the ins and outs of me in a sense, and
Right.
they they accept me for it in a sense, just as
Hmm.
I accept them.
Yeah.
So it's those are two big pieces, and I would say my
Hmm.
last foundational point for me is just my faith.
Yeah.
being spiritual, being a follower of Christ, it really
Hmm.
does make me who I am in a sense
Yeah.
and shape my form of thinking. Because then it goes back to, would I should I make this decision? How would this person? How would like like what does the scripture say about how I'm gonna move and do this one action and how it would make another person feel? So these are all things
Right.
that are going through the back of my mind in a whirlwind in a sense.
Yeah.
So when I have all those building blocks around me, that's why
Yeah.
I can kind of see myself being successful. I can't really see myself failing in a sense.
Yeah.
A little form of delusion, but
Yeah.
everybody got to have it, right?
I think that's a pretty solid framework, man. And for, a hooper, it's really what you described essentially is a triangle offense, right? Like you had
Sure.
like three main components to it exactly. Um, I think that's really dope. So in the spirit of giving flowers, man, tell me about your parents, about, you touched on some things earlier about them. But what are some of the things that you look back now and you're like, man, I'm I'm super blessed to have these folks as my parents. You know what I mean?
Yes,
What are some
sir.
of those like lessons and experiences, those lessons they instilled in you, the experiences that you had with your parents where you can, you could reflect on, even at this young age and really count your blessings for, kind of where you fell in the draft.
I like that. Man, I thought it was a
The
lottery.
right team, man. Yeah, it was
I
a
played for
lottery
the
pick,
right
man.
team, man.
Yeah,
That's
you could,
hey, I
you know what I'm
ended up where I
saying?
should have been. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
man. Yeah, you could have been with the Wizards.
I was hoping Lakers, man. I was trying to be up there with
Right.
Bron.
Yeah, you know.
Nah, but
Yeah.
to be honest with you, it was all those early mornings and late nights, I
Yeah.
used to, my mom, we in the first house we grew up in, it was a Section 8 house,
Hmm.
controlled fixed income. So
Yeah.
we I didn't realize at the time. I had no idea
Yeah.
what that is, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
didn't, it just we were in a townhouse,
Hmm.
that was my childhood home growing up. And I
Yeah.
was to see whether it was my dad waking up, because I was an early bird as a kid. I can't lie to you. If I went to bed at 8, you could expect me up by like 5,
Yeah.
5:30.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my pops was already, I could hear him going out the crib by
Yeah.
then. So I already know he's waking up at 4 to get to
Right.
my mom. She was staying up till God knows, like 3, 4 a.m. studying. And then she
Hmm.
made like an hour, maybe hour and a half of sleep before waking up to get us ready for school and then get us
Hmm.
to school and then get on her way to class in a
Yeah.
sense. I seen that work ethic was just unmatched because she was
Yeah.
working too at the time. So
Yeah.
it was just, and when you look back at it now, because you're going through it yourself, you're just like,
Yeah.
how are you doing all that and still supporting a family? Like
Right. Right.
it was just it was unfathomable to me at the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I seeing that, like it humbles you, yes, but also it motivates. Like I don't even want to say motivates you. It drives you. It puts a fire
Hmm.
in your stomach that like,
Yeah.
yeah, they put all this work in, all this grind in a sense to make sure we're
Yeah.
good. We're good, decent
Yeah.
people. So it laid the foundation for my character in a sense. And like,
Yeah.
they put a big emphasis on faith at the same time. They gave us opportunities that I don't think a lot of people from our backgrounds would get in a sense.
Hmm.
And it's matriculated and come to fruition like this.
Yeah.
I'm a man right now that's, I'm focused in my path, but I
Yeah.
haven't lost myself in a sense of like just all this noise in the outside
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I know myself in a sense.
Yeah. That's dope, man. That the distractions and sort of like the material success hasn't really, hasn't warped your mindset. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think it also gives you like even a deeper appreciation, right, for your parents because now you have a pretty solid understanding
Mhm.
that, as hard as they were working, inevitably, and especially for immigrant parents, man, there's one foot here in America, there's one foot back home in the home country, right? Especially if they have family, close family that they're still trying to help support, communicate with. So they're usually straddling, two countries. But you have a much better understanding, being a child of immigrant parents, of how things can kind of fall through the cracks, right? Like there's just certain things. There's only 24 hours in a day. So there's only so much they can do between, you're talking about your mom working, sleeping maybe a couple hours a night, working, going to school, taking care of the kids, you know what I'm saying? Taking you all to school. Like your mother had like 15 jobs, you know what I mean? So inevitably
Right.
something is going to, is something has to give. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So I think so it's really cool to hear you, reflect and talk about them and having that humility and that understanding that, they did the best they could, and they did, basically based on what they knew at the time was the best. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
And it's put you in a position to do some phenomenal things that I'm excited about because I can see it. I see your greatness. Every time we talk, man. Every time I interact with you, I see it. You know what I mean? And it's a humble confidence that you have, and it's just based on the work and the fires and the obstacles and the challenges that you've overcame. So extremely proud of you, man. I'm very grateful for you taking the time out to share this because the whole spirit behind having these conversations, right, is so that it can help other folks coming behind us, right? Where they can see, okay, here's someone who went through some things, and now we live in the age of social media. So, folks can watch this, they can get your social media, and they can reach out to you and say, hey, how'd you know, where'd you play basketball, or how'd what did you do when this happened? You know what I mean? Stuff that like you said, you were part of that final generation where technology was starting to have that groundswell, but you were still outside, kind of like my generation. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I think it's dope, man. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. I'll have you back. We gotta do like some roundtables, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And bring some other first gen folks in to share their perspective. But I need to call my man to kick it off. I need you to be the first of the first to launch this thing. You know what I
I
mean? So that,
appreciate you, sir. Yes,
knock the
sir.
door down so others can come. And I appreciate you, man. So let folks know if they want to get in touch with you, just how they can do that.
Yes, sir. Honestly, right now, I'm not on IG at the moment. I've kind
Hmm.
of had my time with that, but if
Yeah.
any socials you want to reach out to me on, you can get me on Twitter at the moment at Eskinder Uni, Eskinder Uni Youni. You can email me if you have to. I'll check my email pretty much every day at this point.
Yeah.
Hoping for Elon Musk to DM message me. But
Shout out to Tesla.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Future partnership coming through with this
There you
documentary.
go.
Just wait on it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But email is at Uni Eskinder, Younieskinder at gmail.com. So if anybody ever wants to talk, have a conversation, just shoot me an email and we'll go from there. No scammers, okay? No,
Yeah.
I don't want none of that. But
Or spammers.
oh, spammers too. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. But if you just ever need someone to talk to or just, just bounce ideas off of, I think I'm a conversationalist, so we can definitely do that. And anybody just needs a ear to listen to, I'm here for that too.
Cool. I appreciate you, Younael, man. Thank you so much.
Yes,
And
sir.
we'll catch up soon.
Yes, sir, Mr. Andrews. I look forward to it.
Peace.